So in the past video, we were seeing the first example of reported speech. Remember that in this case, indirect speech is the same as reported. Basically, it is going to be when we have one person communicating something to another one. Yeah, this is the direct speech. But when we have a third party, a third person, which is going to be kind of like the gossiper, which is going to communicate from the first person to the third person, over here we can see that the original communication is going to change. This is very important. It will change depending on the new context that we are facing. Yeah, in this second communication, we need to take into account the time, the nouns, or in this case, the pronouns, the place, and we are going to see that depending on the sentence we can also change, we can also change the modality of the verbs, but basically these are the three main things that we have to focus on, correct? So what happens with the pronouns? I was trying to do a small list with the pronouns, but when I started making this list, suddenly it became a huge list, and indeed I am going to save it as a Word document to send it to you, because it is long, as we have a lot of possible situations. In this case, it would be easier for me if I were with you in the classroom, because I can take one of you and another one of you and tell you to tell something that I personally said to you first. As this is not the case, well, I am going to explain some sentences, some examples, right? Okay, so first of all, we have, again, let's work with Abby. Abby, and we are going to work with Becky and Jake. Again, so Abby says the following thing. Abby says, Becky sings awful. Okay, so we have here our sentence. What happens then? Well, I can have different scenarios. For example, Becky can use this sentence to create a reported speech. Abby says, I sing awful. Correct? But I can also say that if Jake is speaking, Abby says, Becky sings awful. Correct? But for example, let's imagine that Becky listens to Abby saying that, and she's really mad. Therefore, Becky says, "You say I think of." Okay, so in this case we can see how the pronouns are changing depending on who's saying to whom. In this case, Abby is telling someone else, we don't know. Yeah, in this case it doesn't matter as it is a direct speech. But in the second one we have that Becky is talking to someone else, yeah, to someone else, which can be, for example, Jake, but we know that it can't be Abby. Why? Because we have Abby says that I in this case refers to Becky. In the second one, Jake is also talking about the first person who mentioned that. Abby says Becky thinks awful. Okay, so remember, after my verb, I need to have who is making the who is going to receive the first commentary. Yeah, who is going to receive the information. And in the last one, we can see that you, in this case, this you refers to Abby as well. But in this case, Becky is speaking to Abby. So you say I think of. Okay, so you can see that first I have Abby, but here you. This you is telling me that Becky and Abby are talking to each other. Well, at least Becky in this case is speaking with Abby. Yeah. Now, there is a small mistake that I also have seen, and I'm going to explain it. Sometimes whenever you write these reported speech sentences and so on, you tend to say the professor sorry, it's with double S, not double F. The professor told us to that it would rain. Okay, this is a sentence you can make and in which you can see there is a reported speech. The professor told us that it would rain. But for example, if you have done the exercises that I put in Classroom, you can see that some of the accepted answers are as follows. The professor told us it would rain. Okay, so should we have that or shouldn't we? Is it a mistake to write the that, or it's simply a way to speak? Well, from my point of view, it is a way of speaking that is not correct, but is not incorrect. Yeah, the problem is that it comes from Spanish. Yeah, Spanish parenthesis. Solemos nosotros decir, el profesor nos dijo que, ajá, y ese que lo trasladamos a ese that. But in English, it doesn't happen like that. We don't need a that. Yeah, it is not necessary because in the English grammar, we know that after this, it must come the reported speech. Yes?